for your company.
That's fine. You do realize the law, right?
The law means you have to wear a mask in public.
No, the law is when you're inside you must wear the mask.
No, outside too.
But there are exemptions to that law, and I've explained that to the exemptions to the law. Those that have exemptions are exempted. That means they're not required to wear one.
What is an exempt?
And exempt, people with COPD, health issues, people with chronic asthma, all those people can't wear it.
You should not go in public. You should not work. You should not.
That's not up for you to decide. Not to mention the fact is, you're not wearing yours correctly. So I'm being discriminated against?
Well, you just told me to get another driver down here because I can't wear a mask. And I said right in the video, not one of them is wearing a mask, and you can see it.
That's amusing that you're implementing those procedures when nobody in this facility is wearing a mask.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Mississauga, Ontario. And you know, folks, when the Wuhan virus first came to our shores, there was a lot of talk about frontline heroes, specifically doctors, nurses, paramedics, and yeah, they're all doing admirable work. But there are some other frontline heroes too, and that is the truckers. Basically, anything you buy on a shelf came off of the back of a truck. But truckers were initially hailed as frontline heroes. They've kind of been forgotten and even disrespected. Wait till you hear the story of ex-trucker Jason Fleming. So, Jason, as I said, everyone that buys anything on a grocery store shelf, a pharmacy shelf, that came off of a truck. You guys are essential when it comes to the supply lines, and yet when it comes to you doing your duties as a trucker, you've encountered disrespect as opposed to admiration. Can you explain that?
Well, at the beginning of this, everybody was showing respect because they needed their toilet paper. Yeah. Outside of that, after they got their toilet paper, it went back to the same old, get the job done, do what it had to do to deliver the freight.
Can you give us some specific examples of the sort of disrespect you and your colleagues would encounter?
Well, for one, not being able to use washrooms. Second, pretty much denying us any sort of service, being locked in cages, expected to sit on docks, where it wasn't safe for us at that time because everybody was so fearful of what was going on.
No, let's just go back to what you said initially. Not being able to use a washroom, I would imagine, I mean, that's a basic human right, isn't it? I mean, how could you put in hours and hours behind a wheel, getting to a destination, and you can't use the facility?
Well, the worst part about it is I'm diabetic, and I need the facilities. I need to be able to use a washroom, a clean washroom. And with the company that I was on with, it got to the point that the washrooms were only being cleaned once a week, with anywhere up to 50 drivers going into that washroom on a daily basis, not a weekly basis. And me seeing the washrooms only being cleaned once a week, well, it was a cesspool. It was getting to the point, it was gross. I couldn't go in there.
And you know, I find this perversely ironic because since we've been living with this pandemic, the emphasis on hygiene, you know, wearing masks, wearing gloves and goggles in some cases, using sanitizer, cleaning surfaces with wipes. It's been an ultra sanitary environment, and yet, meanwhile, behind the scenes at washrooms, as you said, they're cesspools. That doesn't sound as a positive attribute when it comes to fighting back against this virus.
You would think that they would actually ramp up cleaning the washrooms, but in this case, they didn't. I put in 3 complaints, and with those 3 complaints, then the pushback on me started. I was the troublemaker. I'm also mask-exempt. I have my own health issues, and with that, I was told to urinate on the tire of my truck. That was from my boss.
You know, this is amazing, Jason, and believe me, I do believe you because, you know, folks, this isn't unique. You might recall, I believe it was last April, we talked to another truck driver. He had basically the same complaints Jason's talking about. Check it out.
One of the biggest factors that our drivers are experiencing is the fact that they cannot use a washroom. And I heard stories from our drivers, then I actually heard it firsthand myself. And drove just last week 2.5 hours to get to one of our customers. And to my surprise, when I got there, I asked very politely, could I use the bathroom? And they said, oh, we have to check with the manager. They go inside, then they come out, and they said, if you really have to go, you're going to have to go behind the trailer.
So you're not a one-off, certainly. I think it's absolutely disgusting and disgraceful that you can't use the facilities, or the facilities are allowed Jason to turn into a cesspool. But you being mask exempt, that led to some other problems for you, didn't it?
The supervisor right the nose here. For your company.
That's right. You do realize the law, right?
The law means you have to wear a mask in public.
No, the law is when you're inside you must wear the mask.
No, outside too.
But there are exemptions to that law, and I've explained that to the exemptions to the law. Those that have exemptions are exempted. That means they're not required to wear one.
What is an exempt?
And exempt people with COPD, health issues, people with chronic asthma. All those people can't wear
Go
it.
in public. You should not work. You should not.
That's not up for you to decide. Not to mention the fact is you're not wearing yours correctly.
Yes, I was refused onto properties, which ironically enough, nobody in that property actually was wearing a mask, and I was actually behind glass. So I wasn't anywhere near getting in to contaminate them, and I was there just to do what's called a drop and hook. Drop a trailer, pick up a trailer, and go. So hand me the paperwork, out I go through your little slot. I didn't pose a threat to anybody, but I was rejected.
But Jason, let me understand this correctly. You're going to a drop-off point. You don't have a mask on, but neither do any of the employees at the drop-off point, and you're the one being considered, I guess, the later-day version of Typhoid Mary.
Well, pretty much. And I got to the point, in order to prove it to the company that I wasn't the troublemaker, I started wearing a body camera. And I had that on camera. These guys telling me, and I asked them, so you're discriminating against me? Oh, no, we're not.
So I'm being discriminated against?
Well, you just told me to get another driver down here because I can't wear a mask. And I said right in the video, not one of them is wearing a mask, and you can see it.
That's amusing that you're implementing those procedures when nobody in this facility is wearing a mask.
Well, I mean, that's crazy, but the fact is, we do know that if you have a medical exemption and you don't have to prove your medical exemption, you can go mask exempt. Was this a matter, Jason, of them saying company policy actually trumps the rule of law?
Pretty much. The truck driver is the lowest person on that totem pole. And how many bosses do you have? Because for me, not only do I have the boss that owns the truck, I have the boss that owns the trailer I'm hauling the freight from. The boss telling me when I get to the location I'm either picking up the freight or delivering the freight. At any point in time, one of those people want to pull a power trip.
You've got this lovely little service dog here, whose name I have trouble pronouncing, and you decided he was going to accompany you on your deliveries, and then what happened?
Well, Shahid's been with me since October. Not October, sorry, August. And in October, I was wrongfully suspended from my company because of all this pushback. What ended up happening was my doctor saw that I was losing a lot of weight because I was literally not eating properly. The high levels of stress started causing me to lose weight.
And how much weight have you lost, Jason?
Almost 70 pounds. Was good, but not good in that way. Yeah. But so I was advised to get a dog because every time I feed her, I feed myself. And also she keeps my stress levels down. And if my stress levels go up, she'll start to freak out because she wants my attention because she knows that I'm stressing out. But what ended up happening is after I was wrongfully suspended from the company I was working for, the owner in that same week that I was suspended turned around and told me I couldn't have the dog in the truck. And I informed him that the dog is my service dog. And at that point in time, I didn't have the paperwork.
Even if it wasn't a service dog, What's the problem with this dog being in the cab of your truck, Jason?
Absolutely nothing. I used to have another dog when I was long hauling. It's just another asserting power over somebody else.
And what happens then? Bring us up to the present day. Are you behind the wheel of a truck anymore, Jason?
No, I've pretty much given up driving, and there's a lot of us that have given up because of this. It is a very stressful job, and I had to give up. I'm right now in a constructive, what they call constructive dismissal, a lawsuit with my current past employer in regards to the wrongful suspension, the fact that he wouldn't allow my dog in the truck, and she is certified. She was certified the morning I actually handed in my resignation, and even that morning he was adamant the dog wasn't going in the truck, so I had no choice.
Has there been a court date set for that yet?
Not yet. It's his lawyer and my lawyer back and forth right now. And with COVID, who knows when it's going to actually see the courts.
Well, you know, Jason, I've never been a long haul trucker, but I can only imagine the stress, the long hours behind the wheel. My goodness, driving in Greater Toronto Area traffic, and all the congestion, all the bad drivers on the road. I don't think I'd last a day, quite frankly, but it's heartbreaking for me to hear that someone like you, sacrificing all those hours, you told me off camera, you went months without seeing your teenage daughter because of all the driving you're doing, and then to be treated so disrespectfully, and you're making the case unlawfully. It's just not right.
Well, when this all started, everybody was so fearful of it. Myself, back in June, I actually called my daughter's mother almost in tears because of the fact that I didn't know, because I have a lot of health issues, if I was actually going to make it through it. But I wasn't going to stop driving. So I set up an account for my daughter so her college fund is paid for. And through all this, it is heartbreaking. I got 22 years driving, and I don't want to see the inside of another truck.
Well, Jason, all I have to say is I hope you find a new career for yourself that's less stressful, and I wish you success in your lawsuit. I think you've been given a raw deal. Well, Jason, thank you for making time to talk to us. I wish you all the best. And you know, folks, guys like Jason are frontline heroes, or in the case of Jason, it's the past tense, I suppose. The stress of driving, the ludicrous rules of the Wuhan virus protocols basically have made Jason retire from trucking. And I think this is just another example that when it comes to curbing this virus, it looks like the cure is far worse than the curse. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Folks, are you sick and tired of politicians and bureaucrats telling you that you cannot open your business? Well, if you're going to take a rebel stance and open the doors, please go to iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com. Reach out to us and we'll tell your story to the world.